Okay, greetings Dr. Gan. I myself, Sivaraj Chanakira V, metric number MH19079, would like to present regarding the problem-based learning, which is to evaluate and synthesize the historical development or evolution of a vehicle brand. So the vehicle brand I chosen was Volvo. For I'll be discussing about the evolution for the last 100 years. So first off, the circular logo. So I'm going to talk about the logo of Volvo. So the circular logo with the diagonal arrow sticking up from its top right hand corner is intended to represent the chemical symbol for iron. So which means that in ancient times from the Rome, they use this iron symbol with that arrow. So this Volvo uses that same symbol, adapted their symbol to signify that they are as strong as the iron. So and then throughout the history, the symbol was also represented the male gender for the Roman god of wars. So the Swedish economy, both before and at the time of Volvo's founding, the iron industry was an important part. So that's how the logo was created. So now let's go to the beginning. So the word Volvo means I roll in the Swedish language. So the Volvo is considered born in 1927, approximately on 14 April. But there's a funny story behind that because the first car, which is known as the Jacob, left the factory on Gothenburg, Sweden on 14th April. But actually, a day earlier, there was a issue happened because the first time the car was produced, and then they had a test drive, and then when the designing engineer put first gear, and then the vehicle went reversed, so they had an wrong fixing of drive axle, so they had to reissue that. So they produced on 14 April, so which was considered then as the born day. So basically, Volvo was founded by the Asa Gabrielson and Gustav Larsen. They both are partnerships. So they form the background of quality and safety. So every usual companies or any type of companies, usually they have their own motto or their own concept of what they are going to do for something like that. So the motto and the vision captured by both is Asa Gabrielson and Gustav Larsen is quality and safety. Sorry for the spelling mistake at the quality. So they both produced the Volvo produced both closed top and cabriolet models to withstand harsh Swedish climates, because the Volvo started initially at Swedish, so Swedish was having a change in climate, so the vehicle need to adapt it. So people who buying the car, they doesn't feel it worthy when they cannot use the vehicle during the extreme climates. So they started to manufacture cars, and this was the OV for the first car produced, which is known as the Jacob. It has the four cylinder, so and then the bottom one is the PV model, PV4. So the OV is known as open wagon four cylinder, which means that inline four cylinder with the side valve engine. So the OV4 car was produced in 1927 to 1929, and total of 302 cars were produced. So we can notice that the 302 cars is looks like slightly lesser. This is because the starting of production, that's how every company starts. They cannot do massive production, so they initially started, and this all started in 1927, which means there's not very much of transportation on the roads. The common transportation such as trains over there, so the cars was something new, or not so new, but something evaluating. So Volvo was started to step inside, and then the main thing, the first thing they started, the body is built with ash and beech frame, and then the body was covered with sheet metal cover, and then the OV4 had 3 speed with direct action floor lever, and cruising speed at 37 miles per hour, top speed at 55 miles per hour, and they had a mechanical brake on rear wheels, which means they had something like near the hand they had to pull it to stop the vehicle. And then the overall dimension was 112 inch, and 2580 pounds, which is slightly heavy because they haven't started using the aluminium. They was using steel for everything. And then its main chassis components was designed by John G. Smith, a designer who worked many years in the American automobile industry and returned to Sweden in 1924. And then he joined partners with not partners. He was well known by the founder, and then he eventually they started to plan producing cars. So the cabriolet was not very successful. Of OV4 was a cabriolet in Sweden because the climate. So they had a covered version, which is a PV4, the first saloon produced by the Volvo, was introduced in the summer of 1927 as well. And this had a Wayman body. So by 1928, a more balanced design was introduced with longer bonnet and thinner pillars because the car was slightly heavy and it was not suitable. So Volvo buys it, and then this PV4 became a success, and then the Volvo start by its first factory by the end of 1931, and returns its first dividend to the shareholders. So the first production milestone of 10,000 Volvos was in 1932. So it started in 1927 and 1932, which means like just a matter of time of 5 years, they had 10,000 Volvos. So which is pretty high and very successful. So the Volvo dealers were asking the company to develop inexpensive cars for the people, because initially the cars was only for rich people to afford. So when things started to change, and then this was the period where everything started to change at 1940 to 1960, a rapid expansion. So the car model was PV51, the PV series, made in 1936, 6 years after, 9 years after Volvo started, similar to more expensive PV36 design, but smaller in size and less well equipped. So which means this is how they reduced the cost, which means they want to make it affordable for most people. So they reduced the uh, equipments inside the car so that everyone can have a Volvo. So, and then eventually the problem happened was Second World War restricted Volvo's productions, and then by autumn 1944 Volvo unveiled a more significant car, PV444, Volvo's first true small car, which is known for American flag with European size. And then during war year, Volvo acquired a majority of shareholding during Skanska Flag Motor, later named as Volvo Aero. So these shareholding skills is a smart move by Volvo, which means during war they couldn't produce the car because of they were restricted, but they use their money to buy the shareholding so that they can expand further. So they didn't think that they would fail. They was thinking ahead that they what should they do to expand further during war. So and then Volvo also continued around its acquisition by purchasing Coppings Mechanics, the engineering company that supplied the gears and also engines eventually. So in PV444 and PV555, it started to dominate the mid in 1960s. So the picture, the white color picture, this is a PV544, and then it is well recognized as the first model to gain Volvo as an important market in US. So eventually the Volvo started in Sweden, so which means it's in Europe. It didn't enter the US market yet. So when this reach of PV544 dominated, so the US market demanded for Volvo's car after that. And then in 1956, there's a Volvo 120 called as the Amazon. And then in 1959, both Amazon and PV4 544 equipped with 3-point safety belt. That's the important point of Volvo. So this 3-point safety belt is the main trademark of Volvo because it is a lifesaver. This 3-point belt was developed by Niels Bohlin, who had earlier also worked in the ejection seat at Saab. Volvo then made the new seatbelt design patent open in the interest of safety and made it available to the other car manufacturers for free. Which means that this evolution, this invention was actually built by a person who is working under Volvo. So they could have patented that, then but then the Volvo was thinking they wanted to spread that, they was thinking safety for every human, they don't want to be selfish, so they just spread the information, and then they made it free for all car manufacturers. And until up to date till now, we're still using the 3-point safety belt concept for all the regular cars. And then now Volvo also stepped into the race for the sports car. So Volvo's first sports car, named as Volvo Sport, or P1900, had short production in 1956 because the sport car doesn't run well or in marketing. Then it was replaced by hugely successful P1800 in 1960. Look at the difference between the picture on top. This was a P1900 and this one P1800. So this looks more aerodynamic and more. I feel like if I put both cars, I will just choose this one. I don't know why. It just looks very unique. So this excellent touring car with sleek coupe lines, and then the car went frame on a TV series. So this car was used in a TV series called The Saint, and then it went viral. So people started to admire Volvo's car, and then they eventually started to buying it a lot. And then this is the period where in 1964 to 1969, where Volvo is rolling towards more capacity, because eventually we was focusing on normal cars and sport cars. So let's moving to the capacity. So Volvo, what they did was they started to buy more plants, okay, and then they started opening more factory and more land planes. So they opened first one in Torslanda, Sweden, and one in Olsenburg near Brussels, Belgium. Together, they guaranteed that the Volvo would have sufficient car and truck manufacturing capacity to place the company. We can see that the Volvo already started combining trucks into their manufacturing by 1960s, and then that's why they had to expand the company very big, because they had a lot of markets. And then this plant was capable of producing 200,000 cars per year. And then in 1966, Volvo 140 family was introduced, firstly as a saloon, and then later became estate. So the bottom picture here, this is called known as the Volvo 140 family, and then this is considered as a family car. Then later they expanded it to become a wagon design. So the year after, a new diesel engine plant was opened in Skövde, Sweden, and 1968 Volvo commenced truck assembly operation in Australia by car manufacturer in business Malaysia. So by 1969, Volvo acquired the plant in Ohlsdorf, founded early as 1735, which means Volvo just keeps buying places to expand their company. And then there was a period where Volvo started to think more innovatively after 1960s, not only through designs or what the people needs. They also started to thinking about the more safety mechanism that they can include into the vehicle. So in 1972, environmental care was added as a corporate core value under Volvo. So Volvo's main motto changed to safety. And then Volvo acknowledged that their product had a negative environmental impact, which means they have been producing a lot of carbon emissions and all that stuff. So by 1976, they had introduced a three-way catalytic converter, which is applied under the exhaust to reduce the exhaust emissions by carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide. And then Volvo also had more innovation and safety in environmental care. So we can see the first picture, which is called the crumple tones, which means when the car is having an accident or impact on something, so there will be crumple tones which can save the passenger from the body hitting the passenger direct. And then followed that, we also had the rear facing child seat for the family cars, which they can prevent children from distracting or focusing on their front driver seat. And then they also had the collapsible trailing columns, which means actually eventually Volvo was known for the best, because there was a story that the queen used Volvo, and then she survived the crash because of Volvo, because when the driver hit the car, the engine component went downwards, not straight onto the driver. So and the driver also survived. And then this is how the appreciation went to the Volvo eventually. So this is collapsible steering columns. So this all kind of innovation was taught by Volvo. And then this is the side collision protection. This is not an old picture, this is the latest XC50 XC60s side collision protection system. This just for the demonstration. And then this is the three-way catalytic converter. So this is what the Volvo invented to reduce the exhaust emission. And then high quality and safety. By 1970, from safety only, the Volvo expanded more to high quality and safety. So why Volvo 240 range, that's the name of the car, replaced 140 with even higher level of safety and quality. So we know that 140 was a part of a sedan car. And then Volvo sales passed 4 million mark by 1970s end. This is because all of the safety features inside the car. So people think if you buy Volvo, you are the safest person, you can never die inside a Volvo. That's how the people started thinking, because of the safety features. And then Volvo 700 series of 1982 took Volvo step into an exclusive market for personalized high quality cars. And then by 1990, Volvo 340 was replaced by Volvo 400 series, which won plaudits for its road holding and safety interior space. So basically, in after 1990, the Volvo was, I mean, up to until 1990, the Volvo was thinking all about safety, quality. And then after 1990, there's a lot of things changed, and these are the certain strategy that used by Volvo for their achievement. So these will be I'll just go through fast. So with the construction of second truck manufacturing plant in Belgium, Volvo was now transferred into the European company and Swedish base. So instead, what they was previously doing, the Swedish company now had two plants, and then they started producing bus, trucks, containers, and all the heavy version of vehicles, so that it is widely used for all type of constructions and engineering team based activities. So by 1980 to 82, there was a time that the acquisition in Becher Invest AB with intersect in oil and trading food industry, followed by White Motor Corporation in USA. And then by 1993 to 1994, a serious debate culminating a divorce between Renault Group and Volvo. So eventually, we know, eventually when Volvo started doing the bus bodies and manufacturing bus bodies and trucks, Renault Group joined Volvo for their heavy trucks discussions. And then by 1990, Renault divorced from Volvo. So the consequences were that the broad resigned with immediate effect, and a new board was elected in January. So the Volvo now chose a new strategy: everything not directly connected with core operations, everything not associated with vehicle or transport would be divested. Now, after 1995 up to 2000, both were involved in more Asian things. So Asia was growing with automotive industry at that time. So the new strategy of Volvo is Asia. So by 1991, Volvo 850 was the first front wheel executive car that with the transverse 5-cylinder engine. And the new dynamic product strategy was the introduction of 1996, the sleek and more rounded design of Volvo S40 and V60. So we can see that the Volvo S40 and V40 started to involve after the Renault divorced. So this means that the Asia's involvement started to have here by 1996. And then Asia was now the group's second largest market after Europe, and Japan was the largest market in Asia, and Nissan Diesel was the known as the UD trucks. So Volvo is having a trucks, Volvo is having a car, normal transportations, Volvo having a construction vehicles. So now they have, Volvo has an engine, Volvo has designing, but they just need market and shareholders, and then they need to redesign the concepts, they need partnerships. So they went into China. So the China Volvo CE set up production in Shanghai. So Volvo buses and Volvo Penta were already running operations in the country. The Volvo Penta means it's the motor engines we use for the boats, for the or and then in India the group set up a joint venture, and then eventually the Indian company also conjoined with Volvo. And then Volvo buses were already running production since 1998, so we can see that up to till date in India all the buses running is mostly Volvo. And then by 2000, with the collaboration of China company, so the Volvo started with having Volvo C17 coupe with all this curve and shiny designs. So Volvo's traditional values is safety, environmental care, sporty, elegant, exciting design and engineering. So all is combined, they didn't miss out anything, and then they improved further with collaboration in Asia. And then Volvo S80 sedan in 1998 and V70 wagon in 1999, all new engineering and design was brought, because all this while the sedan was not considered this much, and then there wasn't a wagon with these kind of designs. So because the wagon was more based on European style designs, so now Volvo is involving safety with a unique design. And then there's a lot of history under Volvo, which means Volvo was doing trucks, Penta, construction equipments, buses, UD trucks, Renault trucks, Max, and Volvo Financial Services. They've been involving a lot of shareholdings, and then they'll be buying a lot of companies. That's how they survived the financial services. Even though during World War, that's how they survived. So there's a lot of history, but there are certain things I've learned from there, and then we just focus from for the future prospect first. So the future prospect, Penta IPS was the world's first Volvo Penta IPS. So it's a performance system delivering 35% better efficiency at cruising speed. So this is the motto we see in the boats, right, speed boats. And then the engine development was made by Penta IPS under Volvo. And the ISAM hybrid concept, so this is the Volvo truck which consists of a ISAM hybrid concept. So the commercial viable option for heavy vehicles such as trucks, buses, routes, frequently braking acceleration. So there's a video of Volvo that they are improving on sudden brake systems with the high load inside the truck, and then Volvo goes fast, and then there's one person standing there. The Volvo trucks identifies the distance, and then it can stop suddenly. That's how the ISM hybrid concept works. And then CO2 neutral trucks in plants, their plant is non carbon dioxide emission free, so they try to reduce the much as they can even in their plants. And then IC is a reduced fuel consumption for long transport. It is an autopilot system that handles gear changes, throat, brakes, and then finally the dynamic steering is an electronically controlled electric motor attached to the steering, which means that the truck's driver job is safer and more comfortable. That means he don't have to um, become panic during emergency cases for the trucks, because it's already carrying heavy loads. So the Volvo knows how to align and control the situations. So, and then further, Volvo also created dual clutch systems, electrical bus, automation, connected, autonomous, and electric. So this is autonomous is the current feature. This is the image of XC90, and then this is the something that they are researching on autonomous. And then this is the automation trucks. Look, you can see that how heavy is it. And then the development of autonomous vehicle is entering the exciting new phase. So in Brazil and other places, like for example concept XX1 from this prototype picture, also is a autonomous construction machine that is being developed and being used currently, but it is expensive. So but then major construction sites, they're still using these Volvo trucks for this automation. And the electric bus is very famous in Sweden and also in China. So we can see check on China's certain videos of having Volvo's electrical bus systems, which is very interesting. And then finally we are going to almost end. So this is about the Volvo's current category variation. So Volvo is currently having SUVs, estate, cross country, sedan, and pure electric. So pure electric is the latest technology, current technology. Volvo is focusing on fully electric, and then this is the current trendy SUVs we can see at road in Malaysia. And my most favorite is the sedan S90 and S60. So in India, the Volvo X40 and S90 has the highest market in India. So it is very widely used currently in India. And Volvo also was very famous for their awards. They had abundant of lot of awards for just for safety. Every single year they will get their best safety vehicle of the year. Exactly. So this is a certain a screenshot from the website which I took regarding the awards of Volvo. So you can see the car design of the year by NTDB Car and Bike Awards in 2017 in India. S90 got the best award. So as I said just now, S90 and XC40 was very trendy in India. And also this is in Germany they had the design technology product, and then they said Volvo has the best innovation for clean technology as well, and also for sport and also for lifestyle, because Volvo can be used anywhere. They can use for climate changes, they can use for sport rides, they can use for fast riding or anything. It is very unique car. And then back in XC90 in Germany as well, the current XC90 design also was got as best design. This is after all involvement of Asia and China. So this is my conclusions. I learned a lot of from the Volvo. So basically over this 100 years and consideration, Volvo have been reaching now for the more advanced autonomous and electrical technology and developments. So basically their engines and then their body was all developed by themselves. They didn't recruit other engineers except for the company marketing strategies. So Volvo's uniqueness is all about safety, and then they are still developing a lot in safety. And additionally they also being the one of the best trucks or heavy vehicles in the world. So that's all from me, and I'm going to finish it with the motto of Volvo is Volvo for life. Thank you, doctor.